The clatter of silverware and the hum of conversation filled the upscale restaurant, La Maison Étoile. The air smelled of truffles and privilege. In the center of it all stood Ethan Cross, a 28-year-old waiter with tired eyes but a warm smile. He moved gracefully between tables, balancing trays of champagne and plates of caviar. He was good at his job, too good. But tonight his life was about to shatter. At table 12 sat the man who would change everything, Victor Kane, a billionaire real estate mogul with a reputation for cruelty. Victor was flanked by his entourage, sleek, laughing sycophants who hung on his every word. Ethan approached the table, his tray laden with a $10,000 bottle of Dom Perignon. "Your champagne, sir," Ethan said, pouring the golden liquid into Victor's glass with practiced precision. Victor took a sip, then froze, his face twisted into a sneer. "This is warm," he spat, slamming the glass down. "Are you trying to ruin my evening?" Ethan's heart skipped a beat. "I'm so sorry, sir. Let me get you a fresh bottle. You think I have time for your incompetence?" Victor barked, his voice cutting through the room like a knife. The restaurant fell silent. "Do you even know who I am? I could buy this place and fire you with a snap of my fingers." Ethan's cheeks burned. "Sir, I apologize. It won't happen again." Victor stood towering over Ethan. "You're damn right it won't." He turned to the restaurant manager, who had rushed over, sweating profusely. "Fire this idiot, now." The manager hesitated. "Mr. Kane, Ethan is one of our best." "Fire him," Victor repeated, his voice icy. "Or I'll make sure this place is closed by tomorrow." The manager's face fell. He turned to Ethan, his voice trembling. "I'm sorry, Ethan. You're fired." Ethan's world crumbled. He had worked at La Maison Étoile for 5 years, enduring long hours and demanding customers to support his sick mother. And now, because of one man's arrogance, he had nothing. Victor smirked, tossing a $100 bill onto the table. "Here's a tip. Maybe it'll help you find a job worthy of your talents." His entourage burst into laughter. Ethan's hands shook as he removed his apron and placed it on the table. He looked Victor in the eye, his voice steady despite the storm raging inside him. "Thank you for the lesson, Mr. Kane. I won't forget it." Victor's smirk widened. "Good. Now get out of my sight." As Ethan walked out of the restaurant, the weight of humiliation pressed down on him. But beneath the shame, a fire began to burn. Victor Kane had made a grave mistake. He had underestimated Ethan Cross. The days that followed were a blur of despair. Ethan's savings dwindled as he struggled to pay his mother's medical bills. He applied for job after job, but no one wanted a failed waiter. He sold his car, his watch, even his laptop, but it wasn't enough. One night, as he sat in the dim light of a homeless shelter, Ethan made a decision. He wouldn't let Victor Kane destroy him. He would rise, not just for himself, but for everyone who had ever been crushed by someone like Victor. Ethan began to study. He spent hours in the library, devouring books on business, finance, and entrepreneurship. He learned about investments, real estate, and the art of negotiation. He networked tirelessly, attending seminars and conferences, even if it meant skipping meals to afford the entry fees. Months turned into years. Ethan's mother passed away, leaving him with nothing but her final words. "Make them see you, Ethan. Make them all see you." And he did. Slowly, quietly, Ethan began to build his empire. He started small, flipping houses and investing in startups. His sharp mind and relentless work ethic paid off. By the time he turned 35, Ethan Cross was a billionaire, a self-made man with a reputation for fairness and integrity. But he never forgot Victor Kane. Victor Kane, meanwhile, continued to thrive, or so it seemed. His real estate empire expanded, but cracks began to form. His arrogance alienated partners, and his reckless decisions left him vulnerable. He didn't notice the subtle shifts in the market, the quiet rise of a new competitor. Ethan watched from the shadows, biding his time. He bought shares in Victor's companies, quietly gaining influence. He formed alliances with Victor's rivals, offering them better deals and cutting Victor out of lucrative opportunities. He even purchased the land beneath Victor's flagship properties, giving him the power to evict Victor at a moment's notice. Victor remained oblivious, too consumed by his own ego to see the storm brewing. But when his empire began to crumble, he couldn't ignore it any longer. "What do you mean we lost the deal?" Victor roared at his assistant. "Who the hell is this new investor?" The assistant hesitated. "His name is Ethan Cross." Victor's blood ran cold. "Ethan Cross?" The day of reckoning came at La Maison Étoile. Victor sat at table 12, nursing a glass of whiskey. His empire was in ruins, his fortune dwindling. He had come to the restaurant seeking solace, but instead, he found Ethan. Ethan walked in, dressed, in a tailored suit that screamed power. He approached Victor's table, a calm smile on his face. "Mr. Kane," he said, his voice smooth. It's been a long time. Victor's eyes narrowed. What do you want, Cross? Ethan sat down, uninvited. I wanted to thank you, he said. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be where I am today. Victor's jaw tightened. Is this some kind of joke? Not at all, Ethan replied. You taught me a valuable lesson. Never underestimate anyone. And now, I'm here to return the favor. Victor's heart pounded as Ethan pulled out a document and slid it across the table. It was a deed to La Maison Étoile. Ethan had bought the restaurant. You're fired, Ethan said, his voice cold. Security, please escort Mr. Kane out. Victor's face turned red with rage. You can't do this. Ethan leaned in, his eyes blazing. Watch me. Victor Kane left the restaurant that night a broken man. His empire was gone, his reputation in tatters. He had no one to blame but himself. Ethan, on the other hand, thrived. He turned La Maison Étoile into a symbol of hope, offering jobs and opportunities to those who had been overlooked and underestimated. He never forgot where he came from, and he made sure no one else did either. As he stood in the restaurant that had once been his prison, Ethan felt a sense of peace. Justice had been served, not through violence or cruelty, but through patience, perseverance, and the quiet strength of a man who refused to be broken. Have you ever witnessed karma in action? Share your stories of justice served in the comments below. Let's celebrate the power of resilience and the beauty of poetic revenge. And if you've ever been underestimated, remember Ethan's story. Your time will come.